The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment by Thaddeus Golas. Forward. I am a lazy man. Laziness keeps me from believing that enlightenment demands effort, discipline, strict diet, non-smoking, and other evidences of virtue. That's about the worst heresy I could propose, but I have to be honest before I can be reverent. I am doing the work of writing this book to save myself the trouble of talking about it. There's an odd chance that this is what someone needs to read in order to feel better about himself. If you are a kind person and want to know what to expect when enlightenment strikes and why it comes to you, with or without psychedelic help, this is for you. These are the rules of the game as I see them. I realize that many of us are opening very fast these days, and one of the most common delusions we face is the belief that our sense of revelation is unique. The feeling of knowing the truth is not enough. My intention is not to pretend final truth, but to suggest certain simple attitudes that will work for anybody and stay with you in the most extreme freak out and space out, even when your mind is completely blown. These attitudes are so simple that I'm surrounding them with a picture of the universe to show why they work, even when you don't believe they will. The universe is so vast and complex that if we needed books like this to become enlightened, we'd never make it. But on the other hand, the universe is so simple in design that there's no reason for anyone to be puzzled or unhappy. It's easy to control your existence, no matter how complicated it looks. I've abandoned the idea of writing this a number of times, on the ground that people didn't know it because they didn't want to. But in the end there is no more reason for not writing it than there is for writing it. I am writing what I will want to read someday when I am stuck in a weird place. Several times on bummers I've thought, what could I say to someone in this state of mind that would mean anything? That's the kind of testing this information has had. There isn't a line in this book that is there just because it sounds beautiful. The information is practical and reliable. It has taken me and others safely through some extreme states of mind, and can be reduced to a few phrases that are simple enough to recall in any crisis. The first chapter begins with a briefly stated idea about how the universe is made, and the rest of the book discusses our lives from that viewpoint. It is a far-reaching idea, extending into every field of knowledge, and since it took me many years to get it straight, I cannot expect that anyone else would casually accept it. All I can do is ask that you play the idea game, see where it leads, and check it out against what you know. What has to be true for the universe to look to us as it does? Is there a credible bridge between matter and spirit? Like many people, I wrestled with such concerns for years, and this book contains some of the conclusions. Perhaps these conclusions will be meaningful to you only if you follow your own process of checking and proving. If so, the first chapter contains all you will need to keep you busy for a long time. On the other hand, if all you want is a handy trip guide, you'll find that too. I'm really not expecting anyone to take these sentences and expand them again into a feeling of realization. But if one of you, whom I have never heard about, gets a little higher and happier, then I will write all this again 1,000 times over. I hope you find the vibrations pleasant. Chapter 1. Who are we? We are equal beings, and the universe is our relations with each other. The universe is made of one kind of entity. Each one is alive, each determines the course of his own existence. That is really all you need to know to understand this book or write your own. Everything I say has its roots in that first paragraph, and it is possible to resolve any question by going back to it and thinking it through for yourself. The universe is made of one kind of whatever it is, which cannot be defined. For our purpose, it isn't necessary to try to define it. All we need to do is assume that there is only one kind of whatever it is, and see if it leads to a reasonable explanation for the world as we know it. The basic function of each being is expanding and contracting. Expanded beings are permeative, contracted beings are dense and impermeative. Therefore each of us, alone or in combination, may appear as space, energy, or mass, depending on the ratio of expansion to contraction chosen, and what kind of vibrations each of us expresses by alternating expansion and contraction. Each being controls its own vibrations. A completely expanded being is space. Since expansion is permeative, we can be in the same space with one or more other expanded beings. In fact, it is possible for all the entities in the universe to be one space. We experience expansion as awareness, comprehension, understanding, or whatever we wish to call it. When we are completely expanded, we have a feeling of total awareness, of being one with all life. At that level, we have no resistance to any vibrations or interactions of other beings. It is timeless bliss, with unlimited choice of consciousness, perception, and feeling. Space is a level of experience that any of us can reach, but it is difficult to talk about on our present plane, precisely because it is unlimited. It is that which chooses limits, and makes definitions. We might say, all experiences are available to the one mind, and the one mind is all of us, or any of us, at the highest level of expansion. Or we might theorize, God could not create anything more limited than himself that would persist, but if he duplicates himself, he can enjoy a persistent universe. Each entity, therefore, is a duplicate of God, made in his image. It doesn't matter what words we use. We exist, and the universe exists. And it is possible to test this expansion-contraction idea within the limited scope of what is real to us as human beings, especially in atomic and subatomic studies. When a being is totally contracted, he is a mass particle, completely imploded. To the degree that he is contracted, a being is unable to be in the same space with others, so contraction is felt as fear, pain, unconsciousness, ignorance, hatred, evil, and a whole host of strange feelings. At an extreme, he has the feeling of being completely insane, of resisting everyone and everything, of being unable to choose the content of his consciousness. Of course, these are just the feelings appropriate to mass vibration levels, and he can get out of them at any time by expanding, by letting go of all resistance to what he thinks, sees, or feels. When a being is alternating expansion and contraction, he is energy. My guess is that at the middle point, 50% expansion and 50% contraction, a being would be logical, non-subjective, egoless, and predictable. This may be the zero, which is one side of energy equations in physics, as well as the ego death we go through in expanding to higher levels of awareness. It is important to note that energy is not a quantity of anything objective. Energy, like space and matter, is what a lot of live beings are doing. Energy beings usually react to their neighbors in a way that is often predictable and apparently automatic, like falling dominoes. While relating to space beings, energy beings will appear to be high, vibrating rapidly, with a sense of increasing subjective freedom. Oriented to mass beings, they will be low energy, vibrating more slowly, with a growing feeling of subjective compulsion and disorder. The universe is an infinite harmony of vibrating beings in an elaborate range of expansion-contraction ratios, frequency modulations, and so forth. There is a particular set of feelings and ideas that goes with every variation, every combination, every vibration level. There is also a different perception of how other beings are relating from every different viewpoint. The thought of these possibilities is so staggering, trying to contain them in writing is so ridiculous, that it is hard for me to move my pen any further.